Hello. Welcome, everybody. Happy Hangover America. It is the 5th of July. It's the Friday night, Saturday, early morning. By the time we got to recording, and we are here with wonderful Hans Dietrich of our WooWoo Wednesday, Thursday series, and it's Friday, Saturday. How are you? It's an annual thing now. This is the second year.
We did this last year. I was really tired and passed out on the set, but hey, that's how it goes. Tonight, I didn't go out. I went out for sushi earlier, which was amazing. Went to my favorite spot, Hamano, here in Portland. I just love the people that work there. I love the owner. It's a really small batch space. It's not very big, which is great because you know about sushi, big restaurants will refreeze their fish, which makes it taste like
Portland on the Pacific Coast.
We have
fresh fish, right? If you go to the right spot.
I've eaten sushi around the world, and I will say the sushi here is amazing. So I'll just
there we go. Well, maybe this year is better than last year because, there we got Trump. Oh, I don't have the mug in focus, but he's like, Bernie, you're a great friend of mine. But yeah, so anyway.
Oh, I see that. Oh, shit.
Right? So I was trying to do the pun or the fun of, we got Trump and we're not in World War III. So thank God for that. Maybe he can actually get peace in the Middle East and Ukraine. We will see. Who knows? But
politics has many levels, and sadly, there's a lot of people that can make things happen that are opposing things to happen because, God, for some reason, all of us want war, and
we don't want war. We elected Trump on a no war America first, so hopefully he's able to focus on America first with that big, beautiful bill, but we'll get out of the politics.
I'm politically homeless.
Right? Most of us are, and I'm looking forward to coming to America as a Canadian in 1 month's time, and it's exactly 1 month to the date that I will be presenting at Tesla Tech in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yay.
It's gonna be one awesome time, and a lot of what I'm gonna be covering, and a lot of what actually most of the presenters there are in the field of dealing with is the same hydrogen, water, electrolysis, plasma, transmutation, cold fusion, science. And it's the best possible converging minds in the actual academic world of the science and technology that I'm working on. So I've been practicing and putting together one epic presentation, and it starts with the key aspect of hydrogen and what is hydrogen and how much I've learned from hydrogen doing alchemy, my version in the lab, which is electrochemistry, but specifically electrolysis is the breakdown of water, H2, 2 hydrogens, and O, oxygen, 1 oxygen. And that what we're looking at on the screen here is the hydrogen wave function probability charts, but it's more than charts. These are actual images from the most recent developed high-end electron microscopes. And what it shows, I see in it and understanding, is dimensional portionality of valence shell distribution and the energy of it, and what I recently came up with in what I've called the misinterpretation of the double slit experiment, that a particle is in fact a nested bunch of fields. So it's a field, but it's field within a field within a field. The concentric valence shell orbitals of the electrons are in fact the fields that are made up of coherent standing waves, which are the energetic, light waves that connect and make the bonds between molecules and densities of atoms and their structures. It's a completely new way of thinking and understanding of the electron and the proton and neutron, for that matter, the whole atom together. But what gives me absolute synchronicity and hope is the fact of, for those that have not yet watched the Dr. Wei-Ping Yu and PhD of NASA with he did just go with Ashton Forbes on Tim Pool last week. That's a great episode. But the one specifically from 2 months ago, he was with Terrence Howard, and they were on the DBP or PBD podcast. But point of it, as I'm rambling on here, why all of this matters, why it's all so relevant, is Terrence Howard and Dr. Wei-Ping Yu of NASA Engineering and Theory of Everything Department will both be at Tesla Tech in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Wow.
Presenting. They are the main headline presenters, where I get to do one-on-one interviews with them and setting up panels, discussions with them, and specifically Dr. Wei-Ping Yu on the PBD podcast with Terrence Howard 2 months ago stated publicly for the first time, admitting that science for the last 100 years has completely got wrong the fundamental particle of the electron and the atom and how it all works, and that the model that I'm seeing, describing, and putting together is actually what I see it to be and understand it to be, and that we've now got the head of he's engineering propulsion deputy, and then head of the Theory of Everything Department of NASA, and he now holds this new papers on how the electron and the inner molecule function, what they are, and it's I'm not going to try misexplain or misquote him right now. He says a lot, but not too much about it on the previously mentioned podcast there with Terrence Howard. And I'm just very excited to have the opportunity to meet them in person and speak with them. And good question, MCM. And it's actually, that is a relevant question. It kills my soul a bit, but yes, Ken Wheeler, he's not the only one to get it, because he states that constantly, but he has made a lot of rediscoveries of the ancients and new discoveries to today, and it is magnetism at the heart of the proton neutron. And that was specifically one thing Dr. Wei-Ping Yu did say on that podcast, is that the proton and the neutron are essentially two poles together that make up the center, and then the electron particle charge comes out of it in different ways. And so, yes, Ken Wheeler's magnetism has a very, very relevant, very on point with a lot of it. And yeah.
I'm excited that you're going to be going to this conference. You're going to meet a lot of people. You're going to network like crazy. and you're going to share your stuff. And this is magic. I just got back from Sedona doing a conference there. Never been to Sedona. Sedona is one of the most beautiful places I've been in a while. But wow, you drive from Phoenix to Sedona, and man, 4/5 of that drive is like the most desolate area you've ever gone through. I mean,
Straight desert.
oh, it's
Badlands.
crazy. I mean, I lived in Alberta. Alberta's not even like that. That's what blew my mind. I'm like, oh my God, you're looking at rubble hills. But strangely, outside of Phoenix, there's a lot of hills that look like pyramids, and I'll just leave it at that. But Sedona was super amazing. Like new moon, I had the most amazing view of the sky. I took some great photos of the Milky Way and met some great people at the conference. I spoke about symbology. But speaking about symbology, looking at what you're sharing here, Bernie, wow. I've got a couple of questions about some of this. So
absolutely. But first, shout out to Sedona and shout out to Sheila Rahman. She's from Sedona. Sorry if I just doxed her.
No worries.
But and sorry to her if I just doxed her. Don't know if she wants people to know that. But I will be interviewing her. Well, next Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday.
Right.
And yeah, she does extremely amazing work with sound engineering and specifically coherent wave geometry, which is so freaking relevant to what we are looking at right here. And back to the coherent wave geometry, making sense of all of this. Hans, do continue with your questions, sir.
Well, again, shout out to Sedona, beautiful skies, whatnot. Man, it was 120 degrees driving back to Phoenix, but that's a whole nother story. So looking at what you're sharing here, I guess the bottom two left pieces are the most fascinating to me because not only do they show waveforms, but symbology that we're using today. So, in the second, that one there, you've got N5L2. Hold on, go back up to the other one. Yeah, that one, correct. Whoops.
This one, right?
Yeah, so N5L2 at the bottom. Yeah, keep going down. Yeah. Zoom out.
Sorry.
Whatever.
There we go.
Yeah. So this is what the Maltese cross. That's really interesting. And so my question is, what are the vibrations of each of these levels? This is hydrogen, correct?
This is hydrogen, and it's where the valence shell is active, where they say the electron is on the shell, the orbital, the probability of the density of the energy coming out. So it's the active state. And you are correct with the Maltese cross and the different symbologies of
all of this makes so much sense with what I look into. And so
and me as well, right?
Vibrational level is fascinating because
it's also what gave me the idea and the code of the dot, the line, and the zero, which are essentially what I've been decoding as the source code. What I originally had referred to as the God code, but I'm calling it the source code because that what it is. It's the source of mathematics, proportions, and the different numerical systems and how geometry works and entropy is all.
We talked about this in the green room a couple of weeks ago. Oh my God. Wow. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And
so zoom back out, I guess. I mean, I'm just looking at this going, there's so much symbology references here. It's wow, that's so amazing.
Right. So N1, orbital 1, orbital 2, 3, 4, and then the extra inputs of dimensions. So it's like 5 dimensions, but 0 dimensions. Oh, all of this is a 0? No, this is obviously 0 also equals 1. And that goes back to one more thing that was on the
You
Terrence
see that
Howard.
it radiates out.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so with my new understanding of the
This is
proportionality,
fractal
what
geometry.
0 is, and what Terrence Howard has been arguing about 1 times 1 equals 2, and Wei-Ping Yu, specifically of NASA, he instantly was like, yes, Howard or Terrence, but you're talking on a higher dimensional scale, right? And he just like left it at that. So he was recognizing that it was correct, but he was also showing the difference of like, Terrence, stop trying, but he didn't yet say put this part in, which I think Terrence needs the reference of, is that it's opposed to the linear system that our mathematics and language and current system is based off of. And it tied in also to what Wei-Ping Yu also said, but he said this one on the Ashton Forbes Tin Pool and Him episode last week.
I was about to say, did you have direct contact with him? No, he was on Tim Pool. All right, interesting.
And on the PBD, so 2 separate ones. But it's on the Ashton Forbes one, he specifically said a perpetual motion system is impossible, but an open system is completely different, aka when referring to free energy. And that, yes, so a linear closed system like the single line, the straight line vector, specifically this one-dimensional flat plane line linear time physics that things have been written under, yes. But as soon as you open it up to a higher dimension, aka a second plane coming in, or a third where you have full volume, densities, higher densities of energies and flow and engineering, well, free energy is beyond the electrical free energy engineering. Something like a solar panel or unit essentially is that free energy, is what he was saying, and completely turning the modern academic physics claim of debunking the second law of thermodynamics void, which I've been saying and explaining repeatedly over the years, if you haven't heard it, why the second law of thermodynamics does not apply to these different working over unity devices and free energy devices that are actually out there. It's because it is an open source. It's an open circuit. The energy isn't coming from nowhere. It's just harnessing it, a lot of cases, from the environment around it. And thus,
what Tesla was doing with his Warden Cliff Tower experiment.
Exactly. And he was harnessing the highest source from the ionosphere. And that differential is insane. That gives you lightning bolts.
Is the atmosphere, and the receiver is the Earth. Yeah.
Exactly. And
that's great.
Yeah, so there's a lot to it, and for those that haven't seen those 2 interviews or podcasts, highly recommend them. And
put them in the chat if you can.
Yeah, I will. I'll do that in a minute. First, though, I've got to share a couple things for you, my friend, that I'm sure you will find interesting. And it's in regards to what I've written out with how there's like the old symbols of 0, how 0 is 1, but also -1.
Oh God!
It's crazy things, and then how these symbols break down into numbers and the proportionalities of the numbers and the symbols that go with them. These are just jots. It's not coherent, so don't try to. This is a little bit more, but it's all going into the presentation and the source code of numbers, how they work, and how we did not come up with them at all. They actually function in quite their own universal geometric way, and
So
it's
does this
sounding
get
insane.
into Kadinkras? So I don't remember the scientist that was talking about this. Sorry, off the top of my head, but he's talking about Kadinkras and how he discovered in quantum mathematics and quantum physics an underlying code that's always been there. And it's a code that recorrects itself, similar to what we use in AI now and what we use in the internet before AI. So, huh.
Yes, you are bang on. It is exactly that. I've actually been looking into
Thomas,
what did you call it? The kinetronics or whatever?
what's that?
What did you call it?
He calls them Kadinkra. So he would
Oh,
find
Kadinkras.
these
Okay, sorry.
images. They're all symbology. His name is Thomas. God, I can't think of his name right now. Sorry. Anyway, but he talks about how he found a code in quantum physics and quantum mathematics that underlies all of the code, and it's a self-correcting code, and it's the same code almost to what was initially used in search engines and internet, technology. No, these aren't Kadinkras, but
Interesting.
but also
Very interesting. So I'm not aware of that one. I have to look
now
into
they're
that.
using this in AI. How do you spell Kadinkras? I can't even think of it. Look up Kadinkras.
That's scary using these natural systems in AI, because then you're connecting, hopefully, AI though to connect creation and God, and it's not hijacked by the devil. But I think if it is creation, then it should be.
So my friend J. Anderson just interviewed a guy a week, 2 ago. He was at Contact in the Desert when I was there. I don't remember his name right now. Anyway, he was on an AI panel, and they were talking about AI, and his whole thing was bringing AI into the sacred space of dimethyltryptamine or ayahuasca and trying to decode the languages that are presented there to people that go into these realms. And Jay Anderson interviewed him, and he talked a bit about this, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize this was the same guy that was on this this panel at Contact in the Desert in 2023. And so I thought about that. I'm like, wow, bringing AI into that space would be interesting, because we could decode a lot of the weird mystical languages that are being presented there. But would you really want to pollute that sacred space with AI? It would just take it over. And so, yeah, I was a little taken back by that as well.
Right? It's very, very
That's super controversial on so many levels. It's like, oh my God, I don't know what
right. And it's like, if our AI is corrupted by us already when we're using it for like war and killing and stuff, it's like, do we want to be connecting it to these potential other spiritual realms and dimensions, right? Like, it's goes into the deep discussions I've had with Blake Lemoine, the Google AI whistleblower. But my apologies. I'm currently just trying to.
It might be called a Dinkra. I'm trying to find this because I'm not
Very good. I have not heard of that one, and I'm trying to find specifically ones that a different one that has to do with magic squares, vortex mathematics, and sigil numbers, and those systems, and what.
Yeah, look up Dinkras quantum physics, and you'll find what I'm talking about.
Please?
I can't add it to the
type that into the private possible.
quantum
Good
physics.
day, Merkaba Energy. Good to see you. Long time no see. Hope you are well. Would love to have you back on sometime, my friend. Lots of requests for your work. It's amazing stuff, and hope you are okay. Sorry, I'm also trying to find this other reference that I thought you were talking about, but is something completely different that I've been stumbling upon lately. Yes, you are, Rachel Osborne. Yes, you are. I think we all are. Yeah, okay. We got Hans's link to bring up first. Well,
Yeah, I threw that out there.
ooh, this code. Wow, very interesting. It's
right.
okay. It's very it's pretty bang on with exactly what I'm looking for right now, which is a great synchronicity and hilarious at the same time. So that's the code, the numeric code that they've.
That's the visualization that came from it. If you look up the first thing that I sent you in that chat, you'll see some
Oh,
of
I
the
think this one. Okay.
yeah, you'll see some of the other symbology, and you'll be like, oh my god, this all makes sense. I'm trying to find the guy that talks about this. What is his name? He was on stage with DeGrasse Tyson and others.
DeGrasse Tyson. Boom, boom, boom,
DeGrasse
boom.
But he blew his mind away, so that's why I'm trying to find what is this guy's name. I think was
Gardening, you say? Well, that's going to get into the second half of today's presentation in regards to agricultural alchemy and what I want to teach and share with everyone in regards to the science of electrolysis and hydrogen. And this slide doesn't have the name on it. It's like KE Chemfield and I forget the actual. No, it's Tetronics, I believe, is the name of this one that I was have a slide from, but it's way more advanced than that. I'm still trying to find the magic squares references I was going for, but it's not working out for me because I've got way too many slides I'm trying to go through. But right, back to Andrikis are what you had put in there.
I guess I'm missing the comments. Hold on a second.
Supersymmetry and super multiples. This is specifically what I was trying to find, but it's not coming up for me. Maybe. Oh no. What I freaking. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to log into a different account while streaming, but I don't think it is technically possible without freezing my computer. Symbols of power, Andrika's and nature of reality. I like it. Ooh, look at what we got here. Okay. Okay. Well, I guess we can go through looking through BurnEye's files together, trying to find what I want to share because it's almost identical to what we were looking at there.
I knew this would spark something. Hold on a second,
right.
brother. I'll be back.
Live researching Bernie's archives of the Library of Alexandria and Area 51 combined. Here we go. Where? Oh, we'll open that one. That's more of the tetronics, another hydrogen wave function. But that's crazy because that's also a Walter Russell diagram, another hydrogen wave function of the electron valence shells. Oops. Oh, but
What's this?
Sorry. Slowness here.
We have these.
That's just another hydrogen wave function. We're trying to find.
Here we have these cross and vibrational waves again, as you were showing a couple of slides.
Oh, yes. There's a whole lot of different things in this folder from several different presentations to come, but it's basically Library of Alexandria combined with Area 51 or something like that.
I've got an alchemical question for you about hydrogen.
Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts about extra hydrogenated waters?
Oh, they're key. That's part of my technology.
There's a bunch of technology out there, Kangen water and others.
Yeah. I think that's also going to be at Tesla Tech, to tell you the truth.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I've had a Kangen machine. I have a K8. And I also have an amazing filter through Multi-Pure. Not promoting these products, but they're amazing. Anyway, just because water today, you never know what's coming through your tap. So filter off.
Not just that. You just want the best possible.
So with my machine, they boast that they're extra hydrogenating. That's a hard word to say sometimes. Water. Beyond what
West Range of Dreams.
Yeah, what natural hydrogenation is. And so the question is, what are your thoughts on this? Because obviously these machines are able to make multiple levels of pH from 2.5 to almost 15%. You can use this to clean your fruits and vegetables. Some of it's amazing. You can use this to even if you have scars or cuts on your body, to clean them. So again, not promoting medical products here, but amazing technology.
Water technology.
No, it's water technology, and I'm super fascinated with this. And so what are your thoughts on this extra hydrogen booster in water?
I fully believe in it, and I believe the product's going to be demonstrated in a certain manner there at Tesla Tech this year. And I'm not sure if it's the original invention or not. So which machine do you have of it?
I have a K8.
Okay, is that like the water?
It's an Atnix
water smacker
K8. So it has like a titanium coil that the water flushes over, and depending on, you can add product to it that creates either the base or the acidic, either range. And yeah, you can use it to water your plants, low pH, or you can do like a 9.5 coming out of the tap. I also use, like I said, a Multi-Pure that attaches to it, and Multi-Pure has been amazing. I live in Portland, Oregon. We have amazing water and air, but recently they changed Bull Run Reservoir, which was going through natural rock. They shut down Mount Tabor and Washington Park, which are our two major water reservoirs, and they opened a new one at Mount Scott, and all of it's changed. And then they started to reopen Mount Tabor and Washington Park, and the water's different. You can
That's
taste
never
it.
good.
There's a parasite that's very apparent in it now that wasn't there before. It's not. I need to reach out to my friend Colin.
Gross.
No, there's a parasite in it, and so this is why I've always had water filters. But
Yeah,
regardless,
water smacker
you're
technology
you're
is
living you're
good.
living in a you're living in a major city. You're going to have massive chlorine and fluorine pollution in your water, regardless of what else is in the water. And that's kind of been one of the benefits of living here is we haven't had that until recently. And so, yeah, I can always boast we've got clean water and clean air, but it's not the cleanest water. But this
You
is
can clean it.
well,
That's the
this is
point.
the whole deal. And so I've been fascinated with, extra hydrogen in water, and yeah.
I 100% approve. When I make the atomic hydrogen water, the hydrogen actually sparkles, like it does a very small sonoluminescence as it breaks in the electrolysis reaction. And that's a very key part to tie it back into what we were discussing at the very beginning of hydrogen, the power of hydrogen, and let there be light, as I titled the stream. And we will get back to the light of actual hydrogen and explain a little bit more of what it is that we see in here and the technology of what is hydrogen and the light that comes from it, and that in specific electrolysis reactions that I have engineered and developed, it been able to create the sparkling hydrogen out of the center of the breaking of the electrochemical reaction that happens in electrolysis. And that specifically, when I'm making the monoatomic off of the sacrificial anode side, and the single atom of that metal element that bonds with the water as the electron connects in, and you get that sparkling hydrogen atom up. They're hand in hand, and they're two parts of the I guess the holy trinity of what free energy really is and meant to be, and that is water powered cars that everybody can do, and that it is extremely easy to convert, especially diesel, but also gasoline engine vehicles
Two,
into
two
hybrids.
questions now that you've pawned. So, oof. The first is looking at all these symbols from different stages of hydrogen, different reactions. Is there a crossover to what was done with the symbology in water? I can't remember the Japanese guy's name, Miyamoto maybe. He was doing his water experiments.
Moto, yeah,
Yeah,
Moto.
freezing water, and you get very similar symbology. That's question one. Hold on. Question two, you were talking about hydrogen cars. So Toyota just released their first water engine. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. But
I've been following that, and yeah, that's been what I've been saying for a very long time, that specifically why hydrogen technology keeps being delayed is because inevitably it will evolve to the simplest solution being water powered cars, because you make the electrolysis on site of the hydrogen and oxygen, and with today's batteries you have enough electrical energy to do it and to do the make a hybrid vehicle with hydrogen fuel out of the water that you use in the tank.
Obviously, we've had other devices in the past where people sadly have been offed.
Yeah, rest in peace, Stanley Myers.
The GEAT energy device as well.
Yeah. There's been many. Been a
So
whole.
I'm fascinated that Toyota is able to launch this, and
well, it's because they're in Japan with a very limited amount of fuel and resources, right? So.
Oh no, you nailed that. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Interesting.
That is why they're allowed.
Upgrade my RAV4 to a water engine.
And they also have a lot of hydrogen cells and hydrogen vehicles in Toyota, Honda, Suzuki, and the rest of them, as well as the Korean ones too. It's just that they could never make them efficient or cost effective enough because you have to constantly replace the water because the water is the fuel that you're making the hydrogen out of, and that trying to compress this hydrogen gas fuel and then transport it or ship it is so dangerous, right? And then have compressed hydrogen tanks in your vehicle, like it's so dangerous. That's why it never worked. But if you have water as your liquid fuel instead of pressurized gas, and just add a little bit of voltage into it, and look at that, we have.
Wait, I hear explosions on the street tonight. Oh, wait, that's just the fireworks. Anyway.
Yeah, that's just fireworks. But here we go to answer your question with the Moto's ice and my work and how it structures ice cubes and water. 100%. Look, there you go. We got exclusion zones. We straight up have...
what is this?
This is my ionic gold water you're looking at right here. And it says ice cube. Yeah, just ice cubes of my structured gold water. And you can see, real structured water. Undeniably, it does this every time from the gold water. And it makes the field lines so that, yeah.
Oh, so that's not just your finger, like, showing shadow through it. That's
no, not at all, man. This is real structured water. Look at these, every single one. Wow. I've been documenting this for quite some time now.
Damn, that's amazing. Wow, I've never seen it. Sorry, I guess I haven't seen your documentation on this.
Yeah, it's more evidence of why I need to shoot you.
What's pulling it into that corner is the question.
Well, it could be the triple coil, but then there's more than 3, so you never know. But it's the fact that I need to ship you your water. I'm sorry, Hans. We will get it, but
I know you'll do it eventually. Yes,
right. But so that purple gold ionic mono. Well, it's not monatomic because it's clusters. Well, I guess it's clustered monoatomics, aka plasmid gold, purple nano ionic water. There.
You can send this in smaller containers.
Absolutely.
That would be the best way. Something like
working on it,
like this.
Yeah, exactly. Like this little guy.
Yep. No, I'd be down to experiment with that. Oh my God, you have no idea.
Yeah, and quite possible. And yes, I need a mass spectrometer coming up ASAP. Because of, and like you were saying, you were adding chemicals to the water to affect the alkalinity.
I think it's a titanium plate that it goes over, and so there's a reaction with the electrolysis.
Yeah, because I've been doing the same stuff with running titanium coils as electrodes and getting extremely alkaline water. And then there's other ones I do that can get some acidic water, and that is your hydrogen and oxygen ratios within the water as it's being stripped, and the compounds and the reactions that happen again in electrolysis, which is alchemy, which you got, you got your
Oh,
um,
pull it down. Pull it down.
anode, right? You got your anode, that's a sacrificial metal, and then you got
Pull,
your net
pull.
cathode, which your hydrides form on, and your oxides form on the sacrificial anode. And then you got your atomic hydrogen, which goes up and sparkles. Yeah,
Interesting.
it could be, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know. The guy said it was titanium. I don't think, but you're right. A
I
few people
believe
said that
that's
was.
what's in the machine. It's a titanium.
He's talking to my. He's talking on
It's
my
not
view.
a flat
Not
plate.
yours.
It has levers like 5 to 10 levers on it that stick up out of it. So there's a waveform that is created, I believe, through the water passing over it.
Absolutely. Well, it's the electrolysis reaction of stripping some of the hydrogens out of the water and leaving extra oxygen that then
So
create the alkalinity.
how do you create extra hydrogen? That is the ultimate question. Because
Oh, I know how. It's
this is the one
that's
that boggles.
specifically what I've been engineering, and it's when you're ripping. It's a because electrolysis is electrochemical reaction out of the water involving the water, and you're ripping oxygen molecules, and you're ripping or atoms, and you're ripping hydrogen atoms out of liquid water. And a certain specific amount of them you can turn into pure atomic hydrogen gas. A certain specific amount of them turn into hydride metal compounds on the cathode, and a certain amount of them turn into specific oxygen oxide metal compounds off the anode. But another specific amount of them can be um, added into the liquid liquid H2O solution and change it into HHOs and HHOOs and also other hydrogen isotopes with extra neutrons and extra oxygen neutrons. And now we're getting into nuclear material. And
Okay, another question. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there. What would be the benefits of extra hydrogen in water?
It's definitely electrically charged.
Okay,
There's been lots of studies, but I don't want to speculate and I don't want to go
not,
into
not,
health
not a word.
aspects. But my own charged water, I feel, is, the potential uh, of being the fountain of youth, and that I continue to drink it. And I never drink the colloidal, which is the oxides, which will turn you blue and kill you, like this right here, right? That's toxic.
God,
The reds are
I want to drink that.
hydrides,
I want to
which,
drink that right now. What are you talking about?
right? But when you got this stuff, never consume it, but unless you do and you know what you're doing and what it is. But yeah, the pure fluffy stuff and the ionic water that is above it. And the first batch is when you put the electricity in and add the extra charge and get the dissolved atomic hydrogen within that water. That's when you get that extra zap out of it.
Wow. Thank you. Fascinating.
Yeah, it really is.
Beyond my wheelhouse, but I needed to ask these questions because obviously I'm curious. I'm drinking very hydrogenated water, so it's like
right. So looking back at the hydrogen wave function probability, and then this one right here, this is how we connect it all through ancient alchemy and through sound. And look at this, the sound bubble and wave model. Like that looks an awful lot like what we were seeing at the centers of those hydrogen
And
wave
even
functions.
even in your ice bubbles, you have that.
Exactly. It's exactly what's in the ice bubble. Yes, that's what it is. That's what it is. It's showing the electric
Wow.
wave function. It's showing the wave Wow. Yes.
If you hadn't come to that
Boom.
conclusion,
Boom. Boom. That's what it is.
that's what it
It's the
is.
wave function that we're seeing in the structured water of the ice as the hydrogen's coming out. That's
It's super blurry, so I'm going off screen.
no worries. And yeah, that's pretty mind-blowing. Image credit John Stewart Reed's Cinematoscope.com. Interesting.
Looks like nesting tech. All right. Yeah, it kind of does.
Everything is nesting tech essentially because even hydrogen as a light or as a particle is this, right? But it's light and sound connected, I believe.
Thank
Both.
you, Rachel.
It's
Great
coherent.
statement. I don't know why you're blurry right now. Like
Oh, look at me. I am blurry.
beyond, brother. That's why I went off screen. I'm like,
No, that's me. It needs to refocus. So, Hans, maybe take it away for a minute. And I'm also going to clear out Bert and Ernie so I can show some live electrolysis of the hydrogen being formed and how easy it is to do.
So I've always been curious about sigils, and sigils also have this kind of resonance. I've got this amazing book called The Grimoire of Heaven and Hell. Great name, but it's all about Solomon's sigils. And Solomon was known to cast spells to ensnare demonic entities and also angelic entities, not to ensnare them, but to basically harmonize and protect them. And so a lot of the sigils in this book are fascinating because they look like circuit boards or microchips. And so this keeps coming up in today's society, and I'm really fascinated by all this information. So how do we talk about this? It's like, okay, all of our wristwatches, if we're wearing wrist tech, or our phones or any of our things, are controlled by these microchips. And so the question is, are the powers that control our devices ensnaring us or helping us improve? That's a good question. I've always wondered this. And so once I started realizing that we are controlled by microchips and we're controlled by the crystal has both a positive, a male and a female charge, or a positive and negative charge, as well as a female and male charge. The question is, now that we're shattering these devices, these crystals, and we're putting them in our devices, how does that affect us? And so I've often wondered why these things are in our, society today. Why are we using this technology? We're addicted to our phones. We're addicted to our smartwatches. I mean, myself, everybody. It's like, oh my God, I can't live without my phone all of a sudden. Where 15 years ago, I didn't care about my phone, And so what is this magic, or what is this technology, and what are these, sigils affecting our being? How are they affecting our being? Just curious. I guess I should look at the chat. Don't know. But if any of you have questions about this, that would be very fascinating. Ah, correct. John Drag. Yeah, that's seriously. Yeah, I agree with that. The occult has a lot to do with this. And that's why I talk a lot about symbology, because a lot of our ancient occult symbology, occult is not a negative term, it just means hidden or mystified in a sense. Our ancient symbologies definitely had something to do with what we're dealing with today. You look at Saturnian and Sirius symbology, and we see it in all of our logos today. And so, how long have these cults been affecting our society, guiding our society? And why? Why Saturnian? Why Sirius? Why are these the two things that seem to be what guides a lot of us?
I can help explain.
No, please do.
Very interesting thing that a little video on TikTok that was trending was overlaying the Solomonic sigils over the main emoji characters within phones, right?
Oh,
So,
this book has everything, man. There's so much stuff in this.
right. So every
Oh,
time,
Grimoire of Heaven Hell. It's literally all of Solomon's sigils, and a lot of them are ensnaring demons
yep,
or angels, right? And not ensnaring them, but it's like
it's
protected
the portal
or
within.
yeah.
It's what the fractal within that they live, and the spell that casts them, and that it's emotions as well, right? So it's we have these angels and demons within us all. And what is the emoji that they literally put over every different smiley face, every emoji of a face, each emotion of an emoji, one of the angels or the demons. And it's like the demons are your negative emotions, and the you're good, you're positive, you're building are your angel
I've got to
emotions.
give a shout
Love,
out.
the care.
So thank you, Julia Common, for we brought this up in a podcast, a year or two ago. But I've researched this a lot, and I'm super appreciative that she brought this up, because it took me back into researching this. But it's like, oh my God, there's so
It
much going
was
on.
actually a show with you, me, and Julia, and it was my presentation that went into it. But shout out to Julia. Hopefully, she
I'm
rejoins us
just
one
giving that
day.
because there's been a little controversy around that, but we've always researched the same stuff, and I was very blown away with that, because I needed to look back into it, and oh my God, it's all right there. Like this, everything in this book, there's like 180 pages of sigils in here that are just mind blowing, and I don't even know what to say. They all look like alchemical symbols, right?
They are alchemical symbols and sigils. That's what they're made of.
What's going on there, right? Just to show you a few of these. And so there was a magic in the ancient times that,
There still is. There
well,
still is.
this is where I'm going to. Yeah, there still is. There was a magic in the ancient times that we are still utilizing today. And we put this in our corporate logos, and we're putting this in all of our technology. It's like, hello. What did they know back then, and why are we still using it today?
And what do they still hide from us today? Because clearly the ones in power, the powers that be, do know, because they're still using it, right? So that's the whole thing, is that in our reality, in the spiritual realms that we exist, that proponent of our universe, that there are these ancient, well, knowledges, practices, and interwoven angels and demons that still exist and are around to today. Maybe today some of them might appear as men in black suits, or maybe they
Politicians.
appear as drug addicts possessed on the street that have no morals, value, or spirit of their soul left, because they gave it long ago for their addiction and stuff like that, right?
Or even people in power. That's why I said politicians.
Oh, exactly. Yes, and why they sacrifice, do these evil rituals and stuff like that, right? It's who there's some truth to all legends, stories, and practices, and how much is there to it, and why was ancient alchemy so feared yet suppressed, both when I do readings of the ancient alchemical texts, the warnings and threats of making the knowledge and science public, and simultaneously them both including very very powerful technology in electrochemistry and sciences of that, but also just as much in their physics, in their botany, in their medicines, and a key proportion was the spiritual alchemy side of it and the magic side of these spells and practices and sigils and the geometries of it, what real sacred geometry actually is. And it's these mathematical geometric components that are put into the casting these fractal portal spells that somehow seem to contain spirits and I don't and extra dimensional energy consciousnesses or something like that. I don't know, make of it what you will, but yeah, maybe can you read what's next to a couple of those, Hans?
I was just showing the symbol at the bottom or in center screen on what is it, stage right, stage left, your left, right? I don't even know what it is. So you have all these cross and spherical sigils. This one here. It's like, what is going on there? And so there's some sort of electrolysis in the symbology. It says the 42nd spirit of Vesper, or Vesfar. He, which is interesting because it's depicted as a female, is a duke, great and strong, and appears like a mermaid. That's why there's the Andromedine scenario going on there. His office is to govern the waters and to guide ships laden with arms, armor, soldiers, and ammunition. At the request of the exorcist, interesting, he can cause the seas to be very stormy and to appear full of ships.
After what of the exorcist? Sorry? The cast?
It says at the request of the exorcist.
Request.
Yeah. So he can create a false vision of the seas, is what it's saying. He can cause the seas to be very stormy or appear full of ships.
But the exorcist, right? He's doing a spiritual.
Well, that's what Solomon was doing, right? So
right?
Solomon was casting spells on people.
But it's casting a entity out of something, right? If you're an exorcist.
Yeah, but if he's asking it to do a bidding, then all of a sudden on the seas you'll see storms and you'll see massive ships. So it's a hallucination or a delusion to whoever is being cast a spell on. They'll be like, "Oh my God, we're being attacked on the waters." That's what I read from this. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree, right? But what I'm saying is that there's an actual magic like sacrifice of a soul or spirit to cast that spell to get the spiritual realm, the ghosts, the entities, the whatever that are acting upon the what is the hallucination that everyone sees. Is it actually a hallucination, or is it a temporary shift where everyone sees the spiritual realm? a lot of stories of ghost ships and ghosts on ships and
I pronounced it wrong.
stuff.
It's Vipar. Vipar. Okay. Anyway, also he makes men die in 3 days by
Men
putrefying
dies in 3 days afterwards. There's your
by
sacrifice.
putrefying wounds or sores and causes worms to breed in them. Interesting. So a plague of sorts, right? He governs 29 legions of spirits. Astrologically, the spirit signifies malevolent.
Okay, pause. I had no knowledge of what you were about to read, but does that not sound like 3 days later the plague is the sacrifice and then says is casting a league of 29 spirits? Okay.
Bingo. So, yeah.
That's
Anyway.
a Bam Yahtzee moment. Please continue. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. He's a servant, born October 18th to the 22nd. That's the spirit that rules over this territory.
So yeah, so you're casting. That's why they're so concerned with monitoring and measuring the
Epoch.
stars, the seasons, and the dates and the rituals that go on, because at certain spells of times you're able to interact and cast and open these portals through these spells and practices and sacrifices. And what appears to be real ancient alchemy magic. Woo
Yeah,
Friday, let there be light. We show the occult and esoteric today.
I mean, this book is full of this, and it's like angelic beings on the right-hand page, demonic beings on the left-hand page, and so they're always in red, like the protective spells, and in black, the demonic. But they all look, it's circuitry. It's weird. It's like these alchemical circuits.
I see it's red and blue, and that
Well, here it's red. It's red and here it's red and black.
I know, right? So so
I get what
listen
you're
to this,
saying.
Hans. Listen to
I
this.
get what you're saying.
Just pause for a second, though. From my understanding, and why I've never ever fucked around with any of the spells, it's like some people say, well, you can cast an angel, right? And what I've always feared is, could there have been a deception where they flipped the two and made the angel spells the demon spells, and the demon spells the angel spells, potentially?
Well, you're creating a golem at that point,
right? But the key point is, I've always had white and black together as the polar colors of, like, pure light is creation, black is the absorption, and like the parallel, or the perpendicular of it.
Then you have yellow and red
and the shadow.
Without.
And so the opposite is the polarization, the life bread, the red and the blue, the hydrogen and the oxygen. Okay, and that red is the sacrifice, and blue, it's the hot, the infrared, right? And then the blue is the cold plasma, and that like spiritual like plasma beings, angels, have always appeared as blue or white, essentially, and that the devil is always the red, the flame, and the blood, right? The written in blood. So the fact that in that book it has the red as the angel writing, and that it's black, but was black a distortion of conversion of blue? Did they cover blue to black,
so
be able to use red?
In Vedic in Hindu religion, some of the gods and goddesses are depicted as black, some of them are depicted as white, but you also have this amalgamation of this blue and red as well. And so,
right, like the demigods were blue and red.
Neutral demigods, yeah, interesting.
Right, so God is white, and then death is black, which is essentially a neutral, right? The decay, and then you have the red and the blue, which is the explosion and the implosion. And
the breath of Brahma, breathing out, which is the expansion of the universe, and then breathing back in, which is the contraction of the universe.
yes, sir, that duality, that's
Wow.
dual existence that comes, right? And that, right, so the white bright light, that is God's will of creation. But in creation, there is
Darkness.
Yeah, well, with
things breed in darkness that then create light.
There couldn't be
have the
infinite expansion without some destruction, and then this creation of the cycle of life, and thus the death, right, and the shadow, right? So death and black.
Hold on, you bury
key revolution.
You bury the seed in the earth in darkness, and then it springs forth and creates light.
Yes, and in that seed is the genetics from the parents, but also with shadow. So this is a key revelation of death, and the black is that it is a shadow. It's not nothing, that it's your reflection, your infinite existence that exists on as the ripple throughout time as it goes in, and that when you get into the full density of it, right, going back into the dirt with the seed and the new life that comes back out, and the same life continues. White's black is one thing, and then when you add the second dimension, you have the polarization of implosion, explosion, the red, blue, and in a chemical reaction, it is the hydrogen as the red, the oxygen as the blue, and with that as well, you have magnetism, and that on the oxygen side of chemistry, you have your magnetic force attached to those elements and compounds, and then it's the endothermic reaction. And on the hydrogen and hydride red hot side, you have your electrical components and electrically conductive reactive elements and materials. That's a key thing I have.
Are you getting red and blues out of your experiments?
Yes, constantly. And they're also acidic. Red is acidic.
Hold on a second. Yeah. Think about our blood. We have blue and red blood flowing.
And what is it? It's hydrogen and oxygen. It's well known about the oxygen and oxides. The second half is the hydrogen, and it's the electrical component. It's your electrons, photons.
Yeah.
It's the light. It's everything. And that when you get to neutral, the pure creation and whatnot, it is white, and that is your monoatomic. So that's the neutral aspect. So you have a monoatomic, you have an oxide, and you have a hydride, and that is your neutral electric and magnetic polarizations of electrochemistry elements. And it's also directly ties into and is explained in the Walter Russell vortex and octave based periodic table of elements. And you see, as you go further down, you get more oxidized or heavy and magnetic, and the hot at the top of each.
Across all these elements, neon, argon. Yes. Really interesting.
Yes, and that's how it ties in. And
so we have clean blood going into our heart, the red, and then we have our blue veins, which are filtering out all of. Wow, interesting. I've never really thought of it like this, but that's really fascinating.
Right, it's all tied in together. The Walter Russell diagrams truly I've been putting a lot of work into them and fully understanding them, as have others. And so, another key aspect in understanding this is your base, your alkaline, your alkalinity is blue as it turns. So, in the litmus paper tests, in
So
light, it
blue
is
is the better blue.
ultraviolet. Okay, it is the base bottom of the end spectrum as its light waves are shrinking down, right? You have your blue, purple, ultraviolet. On the opposite side is the red spectrum of our visible light, and it is the hot. It's the growing hotter, and it's literally infrared waves. Okay, so it's literally red, blue is the little
Ultraviolet,
the
infrared.
entrance and exit, infrared and ultraviolet. Those are the in entry and exit points of the average visible light wave of humanity. And when understanding
Very
that,
limited. Yes.
and understanding that, and that blue is shrinking, and it goes into the cold, it is endothermic, it is oxygen, it is magnetic, and red is your hydride, it is your heat, it is your I believe gamma is above infrared, but it might be the opposite way. Is it small?
What gamma? Sorry.
Right. She was asking where gamma is. I'm trying to think which direction. I think it's above. Yeah, I think it's the up way. It's above where micro.
Gamma would be radiation, so it would be in the red.
Yeah, see, right, and radiation, right? That's decay, that's heat, that's breakup, that's fire. What's blue? It's cooling, it's solidifying, it's solid, it's getting denser, it's heavier, it's magnetic, it's got more weight, it's got it goes into the higher densities.
So this actually should be a gradient from
it 100% is a gradient. It's the
white in the
gradient
middle,
scale.
where we're looking now, gradiating out to red and gradiating out to blue from a white. Yeah.
Yes, sir. A white and a black, right? You have the white in the middle, you have the black on the structures. It's which, sorry, wait, my camera's off. It's the cross of the points, the intersections of the full circle, next dimension, segment, section of that nested bubble of field. Remember what I was saying? Nested bubble of fields, exactly as the hydrogen wave functions also are, and exactly as my misinterpretation of the double slit experiment being that a particle exists as nested fields of coherent standing waves.
God, I want to lecture, man. I'm fascinated now what you're going to talk about.
Right? And while you're hearing some of it right now, first, this is part of it as I'm putting it all together, getting it ready. And what are the geometries that we see? And it is a big part of the theory of everything and understanding light, wave, particle, field, physics, how energy works, transferring it into one form and another, that consciousness is connected into it. That's a topic for another day, or maybe I'll go.
So what is 2SM0? That's the
2 dimensions one way, 0 dimensions the other way, and the density of the wave particle of the energy of the hydrogen atom.
So this is the ancient symbol for the sun, or un, or on, in ancient Suf Commission.
Two powers right on. Yeah. So this is 2 dimensions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this is. So what this symbol is to me. Yeah, so that's 2. And oh my God, oh my God, because it is the God code, because it is the source code, I've known it all along. And it's like, what we're looking at is exactly part of this right here, part of this right here. And then it's also a big part of this right here. Now you have the 1, sorry, you have 1, then you have 2 dimensions, then you have 3, but they're
in
vectors.
your third quadrant, there in the upper part, at the top, you have the circle within the circle, and so there you have it again.
Yes, exactly. This
No. Yeah,
that right there. Yeah. So this is 2 and 0. This is 2 and 0, but I guess
what does that represent? I'm curious because this is the
2
symbol.
dimensions
This
of
is
planes.
it's the symbol of the sun, and so it's also
And gold and the right hand rule.
Yes, correct.
Right? So it's so much more. And I believe yeah. Well, it is 2 dimensions, the dot and the circle together. It is particle, but it's missing the line. And the line is the third piece, right? Because you have to have, there's the line, there's the circle, and there's the dot, and they're how they connect to dimensions together. So here, right here, you have the 0.
It's separated, but it makes sense. Yeah, correct. Yep.
Yeah, so there's a lot to it. These are just pieces of it, not necessarily coherent ones because they're just parts. And
that's your genius, brother.
it's a work in progress, and it is the source code, right? Like what else we got there with certain ones. There's proportionality to volume, physics, and vectors of, well, mathematics, geometry, and all physics fit into it as well. There's a little bit more. It's literally the source code. It's coming together, but literally,
have you ever thought of
you gotta source it,
overlapping all those pages so that
they're coming together?
Like
yes.
If you were shining a light through all of them, they would have
the full. You get the full hologram of it in density in time. Exactly. Just like if you flip them all quickly like an old comic book or 8mm film.
That's kind of where I was going with that. If you could overlay all of them.
Yes, and you're connecting to the key part of it, my friend, and that is how time works and dimensions work, and that each moment of time is essentially a disk, right, with all of that information in that one moment captured. It's a fractal of the overall mental or pieces of time. And just like a page of a book represents a moment in that story, as does a fractal dimension of a moment disk, one-dimensional part of time. So from an individual reference point, yes, the earth is flat from every 1 sense, but when you start adding 3 dimensions, when you have trigonometry of 3 source points, boom, now you have a full volume of a sphere, and you can actually do real experiments to measure. And yes, we do exist on a globe, but it could be within the overall torus, because as you add each dimension, it is all toruses, and then it's like, but they're torus disks and
turtles all the way down.
Yeah, right. So it's dots, holes, and lines all the way down. That is my source code. It is dots, lines, and holes, and it's what gives you stuff like this, right? Oh, dot. What do you see? I see dots, lines, and holes. And this is right here. That is the hydrogen wave function probability as you get to dimensions and energies. And all I see is dots, lines, and holes. And that with them you get the different mathematical proportions of relativity, energy, density, proportion. But the craziest part is something like this when you have this reaction going on or
There's
something similar.
your sun
It's
within the sun.
no, it's this one. Yeah, it's your plasma orb. No, this one is your plasma orb. So here is the biggest key to the secrecy of hydrogen energy, and the hydrogen bomb, people. Okay, so here is why. Bernie, oh, we don't believe you. You don't make hydrogen. You've never blown yourself up. You should be dead. Oh, what do you mean you understand how to make the
Does
hydrogen
does
bomb?
work
Blah, blah, blah. No,
does
I
like
fucking am a genius, and I've stayed alive intentionally to never verify instant like results of showing transmutation on high levels that I know how to do by combining my material with, say, things as microwaves and the pure plasma arc energies. Okay, they're extremely high voltages, but I'm literally fucking making atomic hydrogen that sparkles. Okay, and hydrogen fuel and HHO gas and the vapors and HH and H3 and H4 and them as solids and them as isotopes. And if anybody in the world truly understands what I just said, and when per se you take like the technology of Hutchinson, adding in like radiation of radio signals and sonars, or
and
aka
all crystalline
like
metals that he was
per
using.
se, just putting it in a microwave, which is known to transmutate and create plasma, which is this. And if you have that in a reaction that has sparkling atomic hydrogen and you get that plasma arc going, what, like,
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that's what gives you this dimension right here, which is that pure release of hydrogen energy, which is the break in and break down out of the Coulomb barrier, the Planck's constant size, that anything smaller than that, and that you're getting into light wave particle physics of the field and the energy of, boom, hydrogen. And when it's on one dimension, you get hydrogen gas fuel. When you have it on a second or third degree, say, energetic breakdown of the supposed.
So the lower right of this is what I was talking about. If you layer all this on top of each other, you get that.
Yeah. And so what I'm talking about is dimensions of magnitude, right? So we all understand dimensions of magnitude? So it's dimensions of density, of exponential, right? So hydrogen gas exploding on one, hydrogen plasma exploding on the other, hydrogen atomic exploding on the next, and yeah. So just combining three magnitudes of plasma, electricity, sound, and atomic hydrogen in the electrolysis reaction, and especially when, say, you have created around your triple coil a bunch of tritium and deuterated anode cathode materials that are in an ionic solution with your atomic hydrogen, you might accidentally blow up the universe, because supposedly that's what fucking happened when humanity tried to make the H-bomb. Like, from all the, like, this straight up disclosure, never really talked about this before, but you can hear it on both like the Russian conspiracy channels, like videos and stuff from the 80s, 90s, but also straight up what I've been told in private from all the OGs from when I was in APEC and shit. People have told me off camera is that the UFOs did appear at the H-bomb testing specifically and
Because there was
stopped it,
hydrogen. It was a
and
hydrogen
and the
bomb.
hydrogen had in fact gone into this like exponential chain reaction of like energy release, that it's like the whole area just, I don't, like, could it turn into like a black hole or a freaking sun, or I don't even know what, maybe a sun, maybe, I don't know, but Yeah, maybe I don't know
only
what.
but only for an instance. The
No,
instance
but it's that it burns all water into that. That's the thing. It was literally starting the chain reaction that was turning all water or water vapor that was around it into that hydrogen reaction. So they literally started blowing up our entire ocean, sky, clouds, and everything, and that the fucking UFOs had to come in and stop it. And that is why this technology has been classified the entire time. But as I'm going to be demonstrating and have already demonstrated with Jeremiah, shout out Jeremiah Pop, my man, we did recreate in electrolysis in a two-dimensional energetic magnitude reaction of the white plasma arc and the electrolysis with atomic hydrogen and transmuted it successfully into helium. And that is what we are going to be demonstrating again. And that is the fucking relevance and amazingness of this, is it's demonstrating that we can do the atomic fucking hydrogen reaction fusion without doing the uncontrollably exploding all of the water and oceans in the world that apparently the Americans and maybe also the Russians both did when they fucking did the H bombs, and why it has been classified ever since. And that, people, is your moment of Zen and my understanding of this. And when I'm talking about that, I've also produced in large amounts and stabilized deuterite compounds and tritium compounds. Okay, those are also these hydrogens. Okay, hydrogens, but with the extra nucleus. What does extra nucleus mean? It has the extra mass of another dimension and another dimension. Okay, so I can produce solid ones of these. All right, and then I'm talking about, in those other reactions, and boom, okay, I literally, why I don't release lots of what I have developed and am talking about is because it is this potential. I've known it from the beginning and I understand it, but I intentionally do not cross specific thresholds, but have been engineering around it to get it. And that when you get to like this one or this one, you also have the sustained plasma orb ball lightning. Okay, that's the other aspect
God, I hope
of this science.
at your convention, man. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, you heard it here first, because that is the true let the light shine, because it is the white light, pure plasma density energy of these hydrogen reaction. Yeah, well, it's that energy in all of it, but there's ways of not doing it, well, engineering both and containing. So what it is engineering and containing both the creation and destruction of the intensities of those energies in these concentric fields within themselves, and the reactions that are going on within it to get those contained or sustained plasma orb ball lightning.
It's interesting looking at this graph that you have here, that it kind of repeats itself from beginning to ending. So
absolutely, it is the structure, the source code of energy density.
Your first piece ends at your last piece, kind of thing. Your third piece up in the upper left, or yeah, exactly. The third piece in the upper left, yeah, third piece. That one, yep. Ends up down at the bottom and separated. They all kind of repeat themselves, and it's like a different energy combustion of sorts.
Yeah, it's literally dimensional waves. So again, getting back to understanding the misinterpretation of the double slit experiment. is a particle, or is light a particle or a wave, and that it's at a particle consists of these nested, see, nested right here, concentric circles of standing waves. So the standing waves are the resonant frequencies of the light or
Phases, but then they
sound
come back. They
in
come
the
back to the
in the
center.
particles, right? So there are these fields, there are these stable fields of these concentric, coherent standing waves. And standing waves are scalar waves. They're three resonant waves oscillating together on the same frequencies in the three different, well, octaves of each other. Yes, that's what it is.
I'm looking at the repetition, and as the repetition grows, it separates, and this you see this in all these forms.
Yeah, exactly.
You have repeating forms with the doubles, the third one from the upper right.
So what was steampunk? What was steampunk? What was all the hydrogen and hydrogen water breakdowns? And that's another key part to the technology. And yeah, man, even just crystals into water. So here, this right here, so look at this as the pole of magnetism, or the pull of the moving center sun to the earth around it, and that we then have the moon again. So when I did the triple coil windings, that's also later Bob Grenier was also saying and came up with on his own, that several people just instinctually did. It's because where I got the inspiration was this right here, and yeah, it's I found out later it was also the same.
Show that again. What actually is that?
It turns into what's called the bagel coil, or it's the triple spire around a spire around a spire.
Copper wound around what?
So I do the innermost as Bob Grenier suggested, and it's correct 100%, is iron, and that's because it's like the magnetic core, and it's with when like you have a solenoid, or like your Tesla coils or your vortex coils, any of them, through the center is where you have your iron in electric engineering of a transformer, where you're stepping up or stepping down the voltage. You have the magnetic piece in the middle, right? So through the center is where you have your ferrite
might have
core.
been similar to the piece that I've described several times on your show now, that I saw.
Right, so this is your ferrite core. Then this is what I have is the copper wire, and then I usually have silver coated copper where the moon is, but ultimately I want to get the gold to be or the sun to be gold. The earth, I still have to fully figure that out, because copper is
What do you want to do with this?
correct. But so these coils create well, they're
this reminds me
big secret right here, revealed for the first time ever. This combination, when you have it three of the exact same metals, like copper on copper, copper, iron, 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 aluminum, 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 it literally one half turns red, one half turns blue over and over and over again. And then it's doing that on the anode and cathode verse, both on both.
Why aluminum?
So I'm just saying, it doesn't, if it's any element, so you would just have wires of the same element, and I've repeated the process with these specific wires that I had that I know and where these pure elements, why I didn't repeated them in this process. And it does the red, blue, red, blue, red, blue on both. And then afterwards, it then fully coats on one as, oh God, I'm get like this is the process that when you do it and tweak it specific ways, you start getting solid hydrogen, what appear to be isotopic crystals and molecules that keep building and building from nano layers of deposits as the electrochemistry continues to go on in this perfect pure triple electromagnetic symmetry that is the same reaction movement as this system right here. And in Bob Greenyer's tests, where they actually put about 1,000 or maybe even 10,000 volts into this coil, you can see them all over, that they literally have giant big blue plasma and purple fields that form throughout. Like it literally looks like a little stargate of plasma that happens when it. But why I don't put that much in, right? So Bernie, why haven't you blown yourself up? Because I only use a D battery or a CAC battery, or at the very most I use my little 5-volt AC charger, so that even that I don't like having this size of coil in electrolysis with just salt water and 5 volts, because I don't want to explode from producing so much hydrogen off of the reaction. Okay, like it's so insane that I've intentionally never crossed specific thresholds, even though it would very, very, very easily demonstrate massive gains and proofs of concept, simply because it would produce so much energy I would fucking explode and die like so many other but I'm not going to, okay, because I'm fucking smarter than your average hydrogen bear, all right? And that's why Bernie is where Bernie is at and doesn't have any funding yet, because I don't have a safe lab to demonstrate the capabilities without fucking exploding because of the levels of hydrogen that I'll be producing, as well as atomic hydrogen, as that sparkles, okay, as well as
have you ever tried to find levitation with any of that outside?
No, because that involves 3 to 4 dimensions of magnitudes of energy combined with that I don't want to accidentally trigger the hydrogen bomb reaction.
I'm talking outside of the water. Have you ever tried to create an energy field that could produce?
Oh, yes. So this is a story for a complete other day. It was actually the story I was intending on telling when I was setting up the stream before. I had lovely, amazing Hans join us today, and it's kind of good that they did, because I've actually laid down the light of the hydrogen aspects and explaining the dimensionality proportions of the getting to the H-bomb level and what. So here's what was classified in 1951 with the H-bomb. It was called inertial electrostatic confinement fusion. Inertial static electro confinement fusion. What do we have here? It looks like frozen inertial electrostatic confinement. You know what? Like, what else do we have? Well, we have, well, all sorts of different things to go through, but I don't have too many of them loaded. But we'll go back just to this guy for a moment for the purpose of sound bubble, wave model, cymatic scope.
And your ice.
Right? Exactly. And what is in that ice? It is hydrogen and oxygen bubbles. that are literally
But
confined,
they create the waveform, and I think that's fascinating.
and that they self-arrange into this confinement field, right? And well, that whole square, how do you square the circle? And the dimensions of standing waves
Yep.
and proportionality and how they structure within themselves. But it's actually, it's as, see how it's going smaller to more denser. It's also these geometries actually get denser on the outer valence shells because there's more electrons per shell, right? So it's more standing waves connecting as you get denser and denser into whether it's a crystal or a heavier elemental particle, okay, as you are in the harmonic oscillation of the sound octave coherence of the density of your endothermic, exothermic, electromagnetic reality of sound and light, bubble, nesting, coherence, and the misinterpretation of the double slit experiment and what it actually is, and that a particle, as we know it, the atom, is made of nested standing waves of coherent light and sound and electromagnetism. And then you get into the volume of the third and fourth densities of fractal reflection and bonding creation, at which point you're getting into the local gravitational volume rotation and folding in and folding out of space-time densities, and thus you get the micro to macro, ever expanding and contracting in and out of fields of everything, just like the very atoms that make us up exist as do, well, the galaxies, the universes, and let's see.
Universe and everything. Yes.
Let's see if I can find one of my little galactic Joe. Well, we'll play this little video first, just as a demonstration of the anode cathode galvanic reaction of monatomic electrolysis and hydrogen oxygen breakdown. And what the fuck does that jibber jabbled bunch of words mean? What am I talking about? I am talking about that you can see right here. You have in front of us a 2-ounce pure silver Olympic Montreal, I think 72 Olympic coin. And next to it, you have a second identical coin, but that I had it treated with a nano coating. And what the nano coating does is that I'm breaking down the outer bonds, the whatever the bonds are within the bonds of a solid element, specifically metals, is that no, it's said it a million times. Not coming to my head right now. Anyways, the little bonds of the atoms of the silver that keep them together. On the outermost, or the second coin, I treated the outer full coating of the coin in a manner to break down and create a nano
The silver, right?
layer of where it's barely turning on. So it turns black, right? And a lot of times, well, fire, ash, and say it turns to carbon, and you get these outer coatings. And that is, as you're breaking down, you're burning that element up. It's going from the solid, you're breaking those solid fields and turning it into the gas and the plasma, the energy coming out. Right? It's this exothermic reaction compared to the endothermic solidification, but here it's going into liquidification. And that by having one coin in its solid state and the opposite coin nano-coated, and then in the center of it, you can't see, but above water, I just have its pressure connected with the clamp, but in between it is a small piece of copper wire that is not coated. So the copper is above the water and it's connecting the two pieces of the silver coins. So that's what's creating this small electric circuit and differential between the two, especially with the opposing coin that is still of the same resonant harmonic mass of the anode and the cathode, right? So they're in the same harmonic there, that you get this full coherent reaction, which then triggers both the production of hydrogen off of the one metal coin here, which self turns into the cathode. And then on the opposite side, where the outer bonds of the solid silver metal have been broken down into these nano layer, you then have it dissolving into the water and breaking down as the pure white monoatomic silver without having to dilute or first saturate the water. And it's not creating or needing the electrical input or causing the oxidization of the sacrificial anode metal side that is breaking down into the pure single solid monoatomic neutral element. Pure element. There we go. So that's the end of this presentation of how you make monoatomic silver and
so are you just
monoatomics.
Silver coins, and then one of them is different?
You can.
They're connected between the two with a copper coil, is what you're saying. That's outside
with a small copper wire. Small copper wire. You can see it.
It's
right
out
here. So here's the little piece of wire, the copper wire that goes right there, and then it goes up, and you can see the other end right here, and it's literally stops right there, and it's just holding them up, keeping them connected, and keeps that little above water differential. And then you have the one here with the straight metal, and then you have the opposite one that is the nano-coated reaction or breakdown, which creates that differential of anode, cathode, and electrolysis breakdown. And you actually in the center get these, you can't see it right now because it's literally being blocked by the coin. But when they're that close together, you get an increased reaction of the inner hydrogen and electrolysis production. And in those atomic hydrogens, you get the sparkle of the supercavitation. And
does it deteriorate the coins?
It deteriorates the sacrificial anode.
Interesting. Okay.
That's part of the galvanic cell. That's a part of electrochemistry. It's the key. It's one of the keys of making batteries and systems and everything. And I have given a lot away today. If people truly understand what I have said, like, please send this to your local chemists, your local nuclear chemists, your local electrists, and especially people working on hydrogen, or maybe not them because they might come for me. Actually, I don't know, right? Like, fuck it. Happy 5th of July. It is, let the light shine. Send this to everyone. Peer review it. I'm hesitant. Don't put it in put it into non-corrupted AI. So you have to have your own AI agent. Don't run it. Don't fucking give this to ChatGPT or anything else. All right, this is not to be. But if you have a separate non-corrupted AI agent you run yourself, you are allowed to test it out and peer review through that. But don't fucking pull a Terrence Howard. Do a Wei-Ping Yu, which says they are not allowed to use AI, just like what Sal Pius also says, just like what Jack Sarfati says. And they're the top scientist government spooks I've been able to talk to, and they all say the same thing. So, well, I've yet to talk to Wei-Ping Yu. And I don't know if he's a spook. He's more of NASA, so hopefully it's civilian, and hopefully I will be able to, well, I know I will be able to, but have major breakthroughs with him at Tesla Tech in exactly 1 month from today. August 5th will be my presentation, and going to try to get him there early. I believe his presentation is on the 7th with Terrence Howard as well. And if you can't make it in person, they will. Steve is selling online viewerships of it. I will have the private streams of some of the interviews we'll be doing, as well as bonus extra remote guests participating in live stream interviews as the conference is going on. There's going to be a whole lot of epic amazingness, real science. And Aaron, that is okay, because you can rewatch this epic episode, and it is 4:04 a.m. We're getting to the 2-hour mark. Hans, any last words, my friend?
Not really. Other than, hey, I've got a bunch of books for sale.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Mysteries of Lost Kemet, The Land Before the Greeks, which is Egypt before the Greeks, Tropa Legends and Lore. This is my first book talking
about the Dropa stones, your experience growing up in
Paul and Buddhist cultural mysticism, and then, of course, the magic of symbols, which I just talked about in Sedona. So, yep.
Absolutely epic.
You can find us at lulu.com or at my site, megalithic.mysteries.com. I will be speaking again in Las Vegas in September, and then again with Walter Bosley in November. So
I hope to be at that November one, and I'm gonna have to crowdsource it. So everybody, I've got my ticket covered now. I got the hotel covered for Tesla Tech. My passport in the works, so I should be there. But I don't have a job. I'm broke. I'm working on my presentation. So if you can help me in any way, donate, help crowdsource funds, just promote. Like, I can't pay to beat, like, you know, Mr. Beast with his slop, paying YouTube to fucking spam the algorithm. So we have to overcome, right? I not going to waste money on that I don't have on advertising. So we need you to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification, make clips of this, and send it to those you think will be.
Alchemist.com, and I guess
I don't have no cryptoalchemist.com. It was burncon.com, but that's story again for another day. Happy 4th of July. Happy Hangover America. Happy 5th of July. Calgary's the Stampede this week. It's I'll try to get a job with that. I'll try to get a Stampede job, but it's not shit. It's already, I don't know. Anyways, ta-ta, y'all. Much love.
Peace out.
Wednesday. WooWoo.
You crazy mother. Yeah.
It's just Bernie. Bernie. Hey, Bernie, just like last week, huh?